Join us at Women of Courage and celebrate the achievements of women. In the upcoming months, I am going to change our format significantly. This year, we will exhaust 3 subjects: breast cancer in black women, voting, and the subjects for black men. Each of these ideas and subjects is essential for the black community. Our survival depends on the health of black women, our willingness to vote, no matter what, and the fortitude and determination of black males to develop. We might as well face it, the survival of any community depends on the mental and physical health of both the female and male. Children need both their father and mothers, and the community needs happy, substantial families to survive. No culture can survive without either. I want you to join me in our discussions. I want women to realize that the survival of their children is the only proof that they ever existed. Think about what I just said. Your children are the only proof that you ever existed on this earth. So when you are careless about your health and die before your time, the survival of your children is greatly reduced because they will be placed in foster care where they can be abused mentally and physically. I want men to join in learning about breast cancer and try to save the lives of their mothers, sisters, aunts, cousins, and grandmothers. I want men to begin to listen to subjects that can greatly improve their lives. I am going to play certain speeches regarding the need to vote. There will be speeches of Obama, Stacey Abrams, and others. I am also going to discuss Shirley Chisholm, Constance Baker Motley. She is the first African American woman to ever become a federal judge. All in all, I hope you will enjoy the new format and be greatly encouraged in your life. Also, thank you for listening and growing with us. Hello, this is the Women of Courage show, and I am Gloria Lee, your host. For the most part, almost all of our broadcasts are dedicated to trying to get men and women to focus their attention to changing their behavior to live a better life. You must understand your change is essential to the well-being and survival of your children. We want children to avoid the profession of prostitution and living a life in prison. When you change, you will see the possibilities available to you. You do not have to continue to live a life that you hate and a life that you are truly ashamed of. Poverty does not have to define you. Let your strength and perseverance define you. You can listen to us at home, in your car, or at work on your lunch hour. It is essential that you get a daily dose of encouragement every day. Just a few minutes a day of listening to us can make learning effortless. You can even listen to us while you're preparing dinner or just as you are about to fall asleep. We want you to fit our broadcast into your day. This is why we put all of our broadcasts on the YouTube channel Touched by the Light Publishing. Our goal is to inspire you to greatness. So give Women of Courage a listen to throughout the week, and please support us by purchasing a book today from our website, touchedbythelight.us. Thank you.
My name is Joe Neguse, and I'm here tonight to talk about democracy. Our country was founded on a fairly simple philosophy: a government led by its citizens. The simple principle that the voice of the people should matter most. The Declaration of Independence speaks to this when the document talks the government deriving its power from the consent of the governed. James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, our founding fathers, they all spoke about the importance of government being responsive to the people. How do we ensure that that happens? By voting, by exercising this fundamental, foundational, constitutional, sacrosanct right to vote, a right that each and every one of us in this auditorium has, a right that many have bravely fought and died for. Given our collective understanding of how important this right is, it begets a question that has puzzled me for as long as I can remember, which is why so few people in the United States vote. The answer, in my view, is because we make it so difficult for them to do so. In 2011, the Brennan Center did a comprehensive study of state laws that were being proposed across the country. And they concluded that if these laws were passed, up to 5 million people in the United States would have a more difficult time voting than they otherwise would. 5 years later, it's no surprise that in the 2016 presidential election, we had the lowest voter turnout across the country in 20 years. It's not rocket science. The empirical studies show that the harder we make it for people to vote, the less likely they are to do so. And as we look across the country, you can see that in states where we've erected barriers to the franchise, you have lower rates of voter participation. This map may be the most thought-provoking map that I've seen of the 2016 presidential election, because it shows the volume of people whom simply chose not to vote in the 2016 election. That number exceeded the number of people who voted for either of the two other major party presidential nominees. In other words, if did not vote was a candidate, he or she would have won the election in a landslide. Now, all is not lost. There is hope on the horizon, because in 2018, 113 million Americans voted. It was the first time in American history in a midterm election where over 100 million people voted in our elections across the country. It's something to be proud for, right? But although we've made progress, we still did not crack the 50% participation rate in the United States. There were some places where there was a little more glimmer of hope, and that includes Boulder. In the 2nd Congressional District, the district that I'm so humbled and honored to represent every day in the United States Congress, we had the second highest voter turnout of any congressional district in the United States. Now, there's a pretty simple reason for that. It's a great candidate. But the candidate had very little. The candidate had very little to do with why voter turnout was so high, but I will have a more serious answer later in my remarks. For now, I don't want to talk about me. I want to talk about another young man, this man in the middle. This 25-year-old African-American man is standing, you'll see him pictured in the slide, at the foot of the Edmund Pettus Bridge 54 years ago. He gathered with 600 other citizens, young people, activists, protesters, to protest the lack of basic civil rights for African Americans in the United States, beginning with the right to vote. And as they marched from Selma to Montgomery over the bridge, they were greeted by state troopers with batons and tear gas. Many of them were brutalized. 58 were injured, including this young man who suffered a skull fracture that he lives with to this day. That day is forever known as Bloody Sunday. That young man got up, recovered, continued the struggle, fought on, was part of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, was later elected to the Congress, and serves in the United States House of Representatives today, and his name is John Lewis. You know, one of the defining moments of my life was meeting Mr. Lewis for the first time a few days after I was elected this state, Colorado's first African-American congressman. And as I greeted him in Washington, D.C. and shook his hand, I had tears in my eyes as I thought about the struggle that he had so bravely fought. And his admonition to me is the same admonition that he gives to everyone in this country, which is that the struggle continues and that the promise of the American dream will not be fulfilled until everyone engages in our democracy. And so, we are left with the same question I asked earlier. Why do so few people vote, and how can we get more people to vote? One way is to post adorable pictures of, this is my wife Andrea and my wonderful infant daughter Natalie, 2 months old. I have many more pictures to share after the TED Talk. If this doesn't convince you to vote, I don't know what will. But in all seriousness, I think the way that we get more people to vote is the way we've done it in Colorado and here in the 2nd District, which is we change the laws and we change hearts and minds. What do I mean by that? Well, changing the laws is fairly simple. In Colorado, we have some of the simplest and most accessible voting laws in the United States of America. We have all-mail ballots so that folks can vote from the convenience of their own home. Same-day registration. We've broken down the barriers to registration that exist in so many other states. We have early voting. We have pre-registration for 16 and 17-year-olds so that when they are getting their driver's license and learner's permit, they can pre-register to vote, and we know, and empirical data tells us, that they will be far more likely to engage as citizens the rest of their lives if they do so. We have fair redistricting, unlike many states, Pennsylvania, where the maps were so gerrymandered the courts just recently struck them down. They were described as Goofy kicking Donald Duck. I don't know if you can see it in the picture. I certainly could not. The point is this. If we change the laws, we will honor the legacy of so many who bravely fought for this fundamental right that we all share. Now, wouldn't it be nice if the United States Congress would package all of these reforms perhaps into one big bill? A set of reforms that adopted the best practices from Colorado and Oregon and elsewhere across the country, perhaps introduce it as their very first bill of the 116th Congress. Well, I'll tell you, we did that. It's called H.R. 1. Earlier this year, the Congress proposed a set of electoral reforms, the most comprehensive that we've seen in a generation, and I was proud to vote for those. But I will tell you, changing the laws is not enough. As I said in the beginning, we've also got to change hearts and minds, because so many in our community, in our state, and in our country are disillusioned with the state of politics. So I'll tell you a story. 15 years ago, a group of young people here at CU and I, my friends, a couple of whom you may know, decided to get together and create an organization that would focus on registering young people to vote. We felt like the political ecosystem didn't really provide a seat at the table for young folks like ourselves. And we thought it would be important to create an entity that would talk peer-to-peer to young people, to make politics fun again, to get them involved in a way that they hadn't been before. We did what any rational young group of entrepreneurs would do in creating a nonprofit of this kind. We got a grant, and we quickly spent most of the money on a bus. That's the bus. The organization was called New Era Colorado, and this was our first purchase. We called the bus Tiny Dancer after the Elton John song. I didn't come up with the name. I see some people are applauding for that. And we drove this bus across every corner of the state of Colorado. We took the bus to college campuses, to festivals, to concerts, to try to register young people where they were. We talked to them about the issues that they cared about. We tried to make politics fun again. We filmed an episode of Candidate Cribs. I'm aging myself, but for those in my generation, they'll remember the mid-2000s MTV show that was fairly popular. We knew that Election Day was 1 week after Halloween, and so we decided to create an event called Trick or Vote, where instead of trick-or-treating, we would dress up in costumes and go encourage young people to get their ballots in, irrespective of what candidate they would vote for or what political party they might be affiliated with. I'm proud to say that this group of young people, and many more, registered over 190,000 young people in the state of Colorado over the course of the last 15 years. These young people changed hearts and minds, and we are proud to have handed off the baton long ago to a new group of young people who steer the organization now and continue to do that important work. And so I will close there. That fundamentally, if we change the laws, and if we change hearts and minds, we can change the voter participation rate in the United States of America for the better. We can honor the legacy of Congressman Lewis and so many others who bravely fought for this fundamental right to vote. And fundamentally, we can restore our republic as the framers intended it. Thank you for having me.
I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." Now for my break. Hello, this is Minister Gloria Lee from the Women of Courage Show. I want you to prepare to vote. That is correct. I want you to make up in your mind, come hell or high water, that you will vote in every election that is held in the state of Michigan, regardless of how long the voting lines are and regardless of the weather. Your vote is important. That is why you need to take some water with you and a small stool to sit on. Your vote will determine the property tax we pay, the car insurance that we pay, the housing that is available for seniors, the schools our children will attend. Your vote will determine the number of new job openings, the number of hospitals and hotels in our city. Your vote will determine the policies at our universities and the police force. Never assume that your vote does not count. Voting is the most essential activity that you will ever participate in your life. People have died so you can vote. Elections comes down to voter turnout, so stand in line and make your vote count. I would like for you now to listen to a short speech by John Lewis on voting. Listen to what he has to say and note the passion in his voice.
The Democratic National Convention has gavelled into session on this day 3, beginning about an hour ago. Let's go straight to the floor, where veteran Georgia Congressman and civil rights pioneer John Lewis is speaking.
Or do you want to keep America moving forward? My dear friends, your vote is precious, almost sacred. It is the most powerful non-violent tool we have to create a more perfect union. Not too long ago, people stood in unmovable lines. They had to pass a so-called literacy test, pay a poll tax. On one occasion, a man was asked to count the number of bubbles in a bar of soap. On another occasion, one was asked to count the jelly beans in a jar, all to keep them from casting their ballot. Today, it is unbelievable that there are Republican officials are trying to stop some people from voting. They're changing the rules, cutting polling hours and imposing a requirement intended to suppress the vote. The Republican leader in the Pennsylvania House even bragged that his state's new voter ID law is going to allow Governor Romney to win the state. That's not right, that's not fair, and that is not just. And similar efforts have been made in Texas, Ohio, Florida, Wisconsin, Arizona, Georgia, and South Carolina. I've seen this before. I lived this before. Too many people struggled, suffered, and died to make it possible for every American to exercise their right to vote. And we have come too far together to ever turn back. So Democrats, we must not be silent. We must stand up, and speak out. We must march to the polls like never, ever before. We must come together and exercise our sacred right. And together, on November 6th, we will re-elect the man who will lead America forward, President Barack Obama.
For the past 2 months, I have discussed breast cancer in Black women. Recently, it occurred to me that I had not heard from males in the area. Not one man had written or called me for information on breast cancer, nor has any male volunteered to help our breast cancer campaign. This caused me to wonder why. I hope the answer is not that males think breast cancer is a woman's issue. It's not. It's a family issue. It's a marriage issue. It's a community issue. It is an issue that concerns us all. The loss of one member of our community is devastating. Everyone is affected by the death, either directly or indirectly. The death of a parent can lead to angry children and devastated husbands. The death of a parent can lead a child to criminal behavior. Breast cancer is serious business, not just because of the death, but because of the aftermath, the horror breast cancer leaves behind. This is why, as a community, this disease must be fought at all costs by all of us. You have mothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, and granddaughters, all at risk for breast cancer. Yes, women die of other diseases, but breast cancer is the most insidious disease of them all. I noticed I have not seen one man download the PDF file, Black Women and Breast Cancer, and send the file to any of his female relatives or friends for that matter. Why? You are concerned. So I would like for you to participate with me. Go to https://nisv.info and download the PDF file Black Women and Breast Cancer and send it to 5 of your friends. Also, please sit down and read the booklet. It's filled with information. One of the most important things about the disease is that we understand it. By understanding the disease, we can ask more informed questions of our doctors. Do you know how many people die or are injured each year because they take medication improperly? There is a reason why pharmacists insist on putting warning in our medication. This is why it's important that you learn to read. Medication errors are a problem with people who cannot read and or are afraid to ask their doctor questions because they don't want to appear stupid. When you go in to see your doctor, it's not your job to try to impress him or her. You want their talents to impress you. So if you don't understand something, say so, and ask all the questions you need to feel comfortable taking your medicine or understanding your illness. The same with your pharmacist. Ask him or her questions until you feel comfortable taking your medication, and you know how to take your medication properly. I received a medication in the mail. I did not know how to take it. I read the directions, but it was not clear to me how to take the medication properly. I was truly frustrated because I knew I was a competent reader. I drove down to the VA Medical Center and asked the pharmacist to show me how to take my medication. The pharmacist didn't say a word, but she came out, sat down, and demonstrated how I was to take my medication. And she discussed the actions the medication would have on my body. I left her knowing more than I did when I arrived. On another occasion, I received a phone call from a pharmacist, and she told me immediately to stop taking 2 of my medication because there was a contradiction. Both medications had been prescribed by doctors, but it was the pharmacist who noted that error. So don't feel stupid asking questions of your doctor or pharmacist. That is their job, to help you with the care of your body. This is why the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer is so important. It's filled with information. The information is presented in such a way as to make you aware of what you did not know or understand. This awareness should prompt you to ask questions of your physician. All cancers are not the same. This is why family history is so important. The booklet was also written to let Black women know that their cancer can be more virulent and more progressive than others. The book was also written to inspire Black women to become more involved in the research of their particular breast cancer. Who's doing the research? Where is the research being conducted? And how is this research being funded? And by whom? I believe we can have a significant breakthrough with cancer if Black women become more aggressive in funding research. Join us to support our campaign by purchasing a book. See our advertisement. We have great gifts for men. You Are the Prophet of Your Life is a new book that I've written and that I am glad to be able to share with you or anyone you know who may be personally suffering. Nobody needs to suffer in silence. This book will show you how to be the author of a new chapter in your life. It will show you what you need to do to be happy, successful, and sure of yourself and your future. I have found that it's in your darkest hours that you can discover your true self, the brilliant light within all of us that can never, ever be dimmed. You'll learn how to make informed decisions that will enrich your soul, enlighten your mind, and show you that you have the capacity to make permanent, positive changes in your life. You can be your own prophet. You can read the first chapter of this book by going to https://touchedbythelight.us. Are you a woman seeking solace? Or are you a woman in need of the comfort of prayers? Or are you one distressed and disturbed? It doesn't matter your niche. The Prayer Jar is a book just for you. It deserves your study table. The author, a fellow woman, writes this book inspirationally to address your prayer needs in every situation. The book does not only bring you closer to God, but it also leads you to a mature prayerful life. The printing is in black and white. Don't wait. Go to https://touchedbythelight.us/regular-publications to get your copy instantly for $14.95 only. The Prayer Jar, a Christian book for your prayer life.
Hi, I decided that at the end of every show for the next year, I would share excerpts from a book that I believe would enhance your life and make you a stronger thinker and problem solver. All characteristics that will help you win at life and raise stronger and healthy children. Many of you turn your nose up at reading, or you snub the advice that you must read in life to succeed, or you compare the cost of a book to getting a new pair of shoes or getting your hair done or your nails done. The reason why you make these cost comparisons is because you do not truly value a book. A book is a magnificent instrument that can change the course of your life and the lives of your children. In later shows, I plan to discuss with you how a book changed the lives of certain people. I understand that you do not earn a lot of money, and this money is valuable to you because of all the things you see advertised that you desire, and you do not want to spend a lot of money on a book. A new pair of shoes is more valuable to you than a book. If you truly cannot afford a book, then you need to go to the library and take your children with you for a day of reading. You must gird your loins and proceed at educating yourself. Some of you seem to think that having a conversation with your stupid girlfriend or your stupid boyfriend will help you more than reading a book, when actually having a conversation with your loudmouth girlfriend or loudmouth boyfriend is merely a cathartic, allowing you to blow off steam and proclaim how life has been so unfair to you. What you do not realize is that the advice coming from your do-nothing girlfriend or your do-nothing boyfriend is advice coming from a fool. Your do-nothing girlfriend is a sexual opportunist looking for a man she can impress with her body. When her vagina fails her, what will your girlfriend do but go to work at McDonald's or Wendy's at the age of 60 and continue to spread her ignorance at church? Her daughter will be on the street and her son in prison. She will never realize that her life is the result of the decision she made not to educate herself through reading. All her life she felt that she had something better to do than reading. She had something better to do than reading with her children. She had something better to do than working with her children. And that was going to the bar, trying to entertain a man or trying to find some man that would buy her a pair of shoes. A man spending money on her was more important than educating herself. In later shows, I'm going to spend a great deal of time giving you some examples of fools. These are people who think they are smart, willing to trade their body and integrity for a dollar bill. These people end up in the cemetery after lamenting each and every day of their lives about their unfulfilled dreams. Do not be upset by the use of the word fool. You tell me if a woman is not a fool to instruct her grandson to kill her husband for a $25,000 life insurance. Let that sink in for a moment. Instead of instructing her grandson to make something of his life, the grandmother instructs her grandson to become a murderer, to kill his grandfather. I have this anecdotal advice for you about reading. Listen to this short true story. A friend and I were talking. She said a woman she knew called her and sought to renew their friendship. During their conversation, the woman told my friend that President Trump had done so much for black people, and that's why she voted for him in 2016, and she was going to vote for him again in the upcoming election. My friend asked her a question. She said, "Tell me some of the things that Trump has done for black people." The woman said, "A whole lot." My friend persisted and asked her to name one thing that Trump had done for black people. The woman could not. The woman kept using the phrase, "a whole lot of things." My friend said after a while she stopped talking. Finally, the conversation was over and my friend hung up. My friend said, as she hung up, she made up her mind right then that she would never renew her friendship with this woman. Now ask yourself why. Why would she not renew her friendship with this woman? You can answer this question in 2 words. The woman was a poor thinker. She never investigated anything that was told to her. Whether you know it or not, a person who is a poor thinker, who does not examine his or her thinking, is a very dangerous person indeed. Think about it. The book, God's Encouraging Word, is a book loaded with information for men and women. One of the most important points that the book makes is the key to change is to avoid negative thinking. Negative thinking has killed more people than any disease or bomb. Negative thinking will stop you in your tracks. It will fill you with fear, and you will never accomplish anything in your life. You must begin to pay attention to what you say to yourself, because if you are constantly saying negative things to yourself, You will begin to believe them. Avoid negative people. Anyone that does not feed into your changing your life positively must be avoided. You can start anew any day of the week at the time of your choosing. Ignore the fool who will tell you that you are too old to do anything. They have no dreams within their hearts and they are willing to fight for them. You must be willing to fight for your dream, and we will show you how. God's encouraging word will show you how to sow the seed of faith and believe and plenty into your life, how to maintain a positive attitude, and how to fight for your happiness. This book is not for you if you believe that Jesus has changed and that he is much more liberal than he was 2,000 years ago. This book is also not for you if you walk around pretending evilness does not exist, that it is some abstract term used by theologians to subjugate the minds of men, that there is no heaven or hell, or that you will not be called to account for your behavior. This book is also not for you if you turn a blind eye to the fact that there are some white and black fathers in this country who are raping their children in their beds, and that these fathers are your sons, and that the judiciary, to support male control, are telling women, if you divorce your husband, you shall lose your children. This book is not for you if you believe people are to be bullied, brainwashed into believing religious dogma. This book is not for you if you are a mother-in-law participating in the destruction of your son's marriage because you are angry over the circumstances of your life and you envy your daughter-in-law's willpower and strength of self. This book is for you if you're seeking change in your life, if you are seeking definition and reason for being. This book was written for the man or the woman who knows they need help and are willing to consider another person's opinion regarding how provocative Jesus was, a provocateur and a revolutionary. It was his calling to stir the pot and to push the envelope. Jesus advocated original thought and thinking for oneself. Not once did Jesus ever say, "Follow me blindly." He provided man with several reasons why he should be followed. How man should guide his behavior and why one's behavior was better than another's behavior. Jesus never said you should follow the crowd inside or outside of the church. He said, "Follow me because I am the light of the world, and through me you shall find everlasting life." After he said all of this, he proved it by being resurrected. He was the light of the world. The book, God's Encouraging Word, is a book for you. If you are down and out, this book is for you. If your husband has left you for a younger woman, this book is for you. If you are angry and you do not know why, this book is for you. If no one seems to care about you, this book is for you. If you feel sad all the time, this book is for you. If you feel life is no longer worth living, this book is for you. If you are afraid and are alone in the world, this book is for you. This book is for you because God's word will turn despair into hope and sadness into joy. This book is for you because happiness is possible. Peace of mind can be found. Love and joy can come into your life. There is a companion for you. There is fulfilling jobs for you. This is why this book is for you. This book is for the man and the woman who are seeking a healthy mind and body and a better way of life. This book is for the man and woman who is not afraid to be transformed inside and out. This book is for the man or the woman who has finally decided to try God. God's word will change the way you think, and God's word will change your life. Put God to work in your life. He is always available. You must have a vision bigger than today. Get a vision and watch it resolve itself when you start walking with God. Believe for something that God can do. The impossible is something that God can do. Believe for the unbelievable, a life of overflow. Stand on the word of God and believe it. God says, "My word is my bond. My word shall not be broken. I shall not break my covenant nor alter the words from my mouth." Give God a job to do. Put him to work in your life. Jesus said, "I will do whatever you ask for in my name, so that the Father's glory will be shown through the Son. When I go, you will not be left alone. I will come back to you. My Father will love those who love me. I too will love them and reveal myself to them. Those who love me will obey my teaching. My Father will love them, and my Father and I will come to them and live with them. The Helper, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you everything and make you remember all that I have told you. This comes from John 14, verses 13 to 25. Acts 1:8 says, "But when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, you will be filled with power." This means when you feel discouraged, come back to this page and read these words again and again and again, and fill your spirit with joy and hope. You are responsible for your mental health. How you feel and what you choose to believe is under your control. You can transform your life. You do not have to live a life of poverty, breathing despair. Just stand up and believe in yourself and believe in God and watch the change that will come into your life. You are responsible for the results of your life. The responsibility for your life lies with you. You are responsible for the things that you say to yourself and the things that you do not say to yourself. You are also responsible for the ideas you believe and the ideas you choose not to believe. Regardless, faith and trust are the determinant factors. Jesus said, "You will not be left alone." If you believe, you will never be left alone. You will trust God during a storm when there is no lightning showing you a way out. When you believe in Jesus Christ, you are never alone, and God will come to you and lead you out of the storm. You can help bring change into the life of a woman by purchasing this book for her. It is important that we spread word regarding the restoration of the human spirit. Women need to know there is a way out other than negotiating with their bodies. Women in this country are heavily burdened because of the activities of the devil. The devil has told men that it is now beneficial to them not to marry, that they are to carry on relationships with women for sexual gratification only. He has told men that having a family and being a father is an encumbrance. They no longer need to participate in this activity. He has also told those men that are married that it is okay to commit adultery because everyone is doing it, that they should indulge in any activity that makes them feel good. A mistress on the side is a necessary thing. The devil is telling men it is all right to be self-indulgent. If you're unhappy, there are a number of devices, such as alcohol, tobacco, and drugs, that he can provide you with to lift your spirit. You can play an important role in our efforts to relieve the suffering of women having to fight the devil in their home. The devil knows that the best way to destroy civilization and to return the world to anarchy is to attack the woman. If he can successfully destroy the woman, he can dissolve the family and gain control of the man's mind. Have you not noticed the permissiveness and the nudity on television? The devil is slowly trying to make us tolerant of all sorts of deviant behavior. It is all right for a man to parade around nude. It is okay for people to use profanity on television. It's okay for women to participate in actual sex acts on television, and this behavior is good entertainment. If men persist in this behavior, sooner or later, we will see men and children having sex on television. One can also call this reality television. How are we going to deal with fornication on television when we have not defined incest as rape, imprisoning those fathers that participate in this type of behavior? Women need to be told there is help available to them. They need to know that there is a God that they can go to solve the problems they are experiencing in their lives because of the devil. Women need to know that when they pray, help is on the way. This book was written to lift the spirit and to tell women there are limitless possibilities in life, and happiness and fulfillment is possible. This book is a great gift to a woman. If it is a gift that will be used over and over again, a gift that will change the lives of countless women and children. If you are a man reading this book, you will learn what help your daughters will need throughout their lives.
In the era of speedy development and drastic social changes, the cancer scenario has also changed. Breast cancer has become the #1 cancer in women. And according to research, breast cancer is the most frequent cancer among women, causing over 500,000 deaths every year. Breast cancer is one of the preventable diseases. Therefore, raising awareness surrounding breast cancer is incredibly important, as early detection, often through screening, can catch the disease when it is most treatable. At Touched by the Light, our goal is to raise the awareness of breast cancer and help reduce the mortality rate caused by this fatal disease. We are looking to do this by selling 5 different books that are all about helping you to improve your life to help us raise sufficient funds for our breast cancer awareness campaign. From the You Are the Prophet of Your Life by Gloria G. Lee, that's all about teaching you how to prophesy into your life like God wanted, to the Prayer Jar that's designed to help you strengthen your prayer life, to life-saving advice that provides you with important life tips to change your life for the better. Journey to the Middle Kingdom and What You Must Do to Win. You'll enjoy a great read that's certain to change your life. All we're asking you to do is support our breast cancer initiative by purchasing one or more of our books on WHPR TV 33, 160 Victor Street, Highland Park, www.nisv.info, and www.touchedbythelight.us. And as a token of our appreciation, we'll give you a free gift for every book you purchase. Also, please don't forget to tune in to the Women of Courage show that broadcasts on WHPR 88.1 every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. and every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. Remember, by telling your friend about our campaign, you'll be helping us fight this deadly disease. Call us today at 734-786-3233 for more information.
Become a sponsor of the Women of Courage show by inviting 10 women for a pleasant afternoon to listen to us speak at your venue. Help us change our community to one of peace and harmony. The Women of Courage show is supported by the Women and Children's Restoration Ministries to help women problem solve and to help women realize their dreams. Women should believe that anything is possible. Our sole purpose is the restoration of injured women, both physically and mentally. We meet twice a month on Saturday at a local restaurant to discuss subjects germane to women. We see 5 main problems of Black women that we must solve ourselves. One is the sexual abuse of children, bringing unrelated males into the home and fail to notice changes in behavior. Rape and murder of Black women, failure to learn the warning signs, breast cancer, which is a failure to be examined, sex trafficking of Black women, accepting prostitution as a way of life, economic trials of Black women due to the inability to read or lack of education. Learn how to sponsor the Women of Courage show by speaking to our spokesperson, Renee of WHPR. She can be reached at renee88.1fm at gmail.com. I repeat, renee88.1fm at gmail.com. She will tell you all about it, or you can leave a message at the number 734-686-1444. Thank you.
Congressman John Lewis is a living legend and an icon of the civil rights movement. A central focus of Lewis's activism has been the fight for the right to vote, a right that until 1965, generations of African Americans had been denied.
When John Lewis was a teenager, he read in a comic book about what Dr. King had been doing in Montgomery. And he went to his parents and he says, I want to be part of this.
By 1963, John Lewis had helped organize demonstrations and sit-ins across the South. When he was elected chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee that same year, he became one of the Big Six leaders of the civil rights movement and helped plan the March on Washington. At age 23, Lewis was the youngest person to speak at the event. But his most defining moment came 2 years later, when he turned his attention to voting rights and helped lead a dangerous civil rights march from Selma to Montgomery.
John Lewis was on the front lines of the 50-mile march, starting in Selma to Montgomery, demonstrating the murder of Jimmy Lee Jackson, a young African American who was killed by a state trooper, but also the denial of African Americans' right to vote across the South. If they could get the nation to zero in on Selma, Alabama, a place that had a large black population and very few African Americans who were registered to vote, then perhaps there could be some action.
As activists marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, state troopers tear-gassed and beat them on what came to be known as Bloody Sunday. Lewis himself was severely beaten, suffering a fractured skull. 8 days after Bloody Sunday, President Lyndon Baines Johnson introduced the Voting Rights Act in Congress, and he would sign it into law in August 1965.
Today, we strike away the last major shackle of those fierce and ancient bonds.
The Voting Rights Act of 1965 was written on the road from Selma to Montgomery. The government responded and reacted to the power of the people.
John Lewis has helped secure the right to vote for millions of Americans. He's been on the front lines of the fight for civil rights for over 50 years. And the last time I checked, he was still fighting.
Too many people struggled, suffered, and died to make it possible for every American to exercise their right to vote. And we have come too far together to ever turn back. We must stand up, and speak out.
Our lessons are viewer supported. If you enjoy our lessons and they have been a help to you, please send the Women of Courage Show a donation. Any amount will help. $1 will help. Spread our message. You can also go to our website, touchedbythelight.us, and purchase the book, You Are the Prophet of Your Life. We support ourselves through book sales. The book is also on sale at the radio station WHPR 160 Victor Street in Highland Park, Michigan, right off of Woodward Avenue. If you do not have internet access, you can make a donation to us by mailing it to Post Office Box 7688, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan 48302. Your support will be greatly appreciated. This video was brought to you by the Women and Children's Restoration Ministries. Why not email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com and learn about the programs we have to assist women to fulfill themselves. We welcome women who wish to participate. Surely you have a few hours each month to help us with one of the many programs we are developing. Your expertise will be greatly welcome. We believe that one of our programs, Returning Citizens, The Wall Project, Black Women and Breast Cancer, and Teach Someone to Read, will interest you, where you might volunteer once a month to help us. Our primary function is to assist women in changing their lives for the better. Please email us today at murdervoices@gmail.com. We will appreciate your help. Thank you. This video was brought to you by the Women and Children's Restoration Ministries. Why not email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com and learn about the programs we have to assist women. We welcome women who wish to participate. Surely you have a few hours each month to help us with one of our programs. We believe that one of our programs, Recruiting Citizens, The Wall Project, Black Women and Cancer, Teach Someone to Read, will interest you, where you might volunteer once a month to help us. Our primary function is to assist women in changing their lives. Email us today. We would appreciate your help. We enjoy your listening to the Women of Courage show at WHPR every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. and every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. And we support your local hairstylist. Do not forget to go to touchedbythelight.us website and download a copy of the booklet, Black Women and Breast Cancer. This is very important information, and we would appreciate it if you email a copy of